Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm doing a video response to Ben over at Trex Spacestation. He hasn't done one of these for a while, but he was posting questions about games in your collection. And I've been doing each one, and he's just posted one, so I'm doing a reply really quickly here. Glad to see that these are back, Ben. And for these 5 questions, he's got a diverse range of things for me to bring up from my collection. But what I'm trying to do is, I just posted a video response to Metal Jesus a little while ago where I talked about the console that was the biggest disappointment for me, and that was the Nintendo Wii. And unfortunately, Ben, being a big Wii fan, was a little sad to see that console was such a source of disappointment for me. So he's like, "Oh, I thought you liked the Wii." I do, but I thought to myself, you know what I'm going to do? Just to make it up to Ben, and also as a personal challenge, I'm going to see if I can choose all Wii games for these questions of Ben's, because that should be kind of an interesting challenge, so let's get on with it. First question, name an on-rails shooter. Now there's a lot of these on the Wii. Ben himself showed off the House of the Dead. I'm going to choose one that I've been meaning to do a video about, but we'll get there. And it's kind of an unusual one. Nerf N-Strike. This is, I guess, aimed at a more younger audience, juvenile group, because it's a bunch of teenagers with Nerf guns shooting flying robots and things. Normally I like to put a little clip showing the gameplay, but I'm doing this very quickly here to get this response out to Ben, so I'll just tell you what these games are like. You can always check YouTube for what does this game look like. This is a really, really good game, actually. I mean, even though it's kind of aimed at a younger audience, it's actually a very good on-rails shooter. It's got a lot of challenge to it. The fact that you're shooting Nerf pistol, little, pellets and stuff, they actually have an arc as they shoot. So it's a really, really good game. I highly recommend Nerf N-Strike. Ben's second question is, name a first-person shooter. These are not quite so common on the Wii. However, there are a few, and I have chosen what is arguably the best, the Conduit. This is a really, really high-effort job done by High Voltage Software. I remember following this. This is in the heydays of my owning my Wii, and only my Wii. I was, as mentioned in my Metal Jesus response, was getting a little annoyed that, Call of Duties and Modern Warfares and whatevers were all coming out for the Wii, or for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and not for the Wii. That got fixed later. But nobody was making first-person shooter games and aimed at a more serious audience than, or for the Wii. High Voltage Software did that with the Conduit, and they really knocked it out of the park. There are small issues with this title, but the level of polish that they put on this, and the fact that you could adjust your cursor so you could make the gun move as fast or as slow as you wanted it to be, really, really good. I very, very much like what they did with the Conduit. I haven't played the second game yet. Then Ben asked for an open world game, and there aren't very many or any of these on the Wii, but I looked high and low and I thought, if I slightly cheat here, I can do it. Because I got, many years ago, Wii Ski and Snowboard, which is, yes, it's a skiing game, but what is different is you can ski anywhere on the resort and the slopes, and you meet people who have got little tasks for you. Hey, I've lost my dog. Hey, can you go and collect 5 rocks for me, or whatever. So it is kind of an open world game. I mean, you're skiing, and it's very simplified. The graphics look good for the Wii, that famous old phrase. But it's actually a really good skiing game. You use your nunchuck and your Wii remote to kind of boost yourself along, and as it says here, it uses the balance board, which I still have, to actually lean back and forth and ski. It's a very visceral feeling. And when you get flying down some of those slopes, it's great. So that's going to be my choice for an open world game. Then Ben asked for a game where you play an animal, like he brought up the example of Sonic the Hedgehog. I mentioned before, I'm not the hugest Sonic fan, so I don't really have, certainly none of the Wii Sonic games, although I've heard Sonic Colors is quite good. So I just thought, okay, what else have I got in my collection where you play an animal? Without a doubt, the answer has to be Deadly Creatures. I've actually not played this one yet. I've tried it out to make sure the disc works. I've heard excellent things. This is one of those sort of swan song titles for the Wii that people were just like, this is a great game. How come nobody bought it? What is wrong with people? It's, you play a tarantula for half of the story, and you play a scorpion for the other half of the story. And I've heard some very interesting things. Yes, you fight a rattlesnake at one point. It's not cutesy, it's not Disneyfied or anything like that. It's very realistic. What would life be like for a tarantula or a scorpion? Now, okay, you are in these little closed off areas with invisible walls till you fight the boss, like the rattlesnake or whatever. It's not that realistic, but a game where you play one of those is an interesting choice. So that's my selection for a game where you play an animal. And for my final game, Ben had asked for something that's really violent. Now, I was going to go for the obvious one, Mad World, which I've actually talked about before for some of these video responses to Ben, so I don't want to like rehash the same old thing again. And I was looking up and down my collection. The Wii's not overflowing with really violent games, but I just thought, well, let's choose something, and something I haven't really talked about much before. I'm going to go with Rogue Trooper, the Quartz Zone Massacre. This is a port of a PlayStation 2 game, and I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but I really enjoyed the 2000 AD comics when I was living in the UK, and Rogue Trooper is one of the characters in that comic book. I don't know if there's anybody else in 2000 AD that's really well known, but regardless, Rogue Trooper is a really... the comic book is fantastic. I loved it. I really miss 2000 AD now that I'm living back in Canada. And when I saw Rogue Trooper for the PS2, I thought, yes, I wish I had a PlayStation 2 because I'd love to play that. So when they made it for the Wii, I'm like, yes, I'm getting it for the Wii. I have played it. The controls are a little tricky. It's kind of, I don't know, Gears of War-ish, but with a lot of motion controls, and that's fine. Most of the game is pretty good, but then there are sections where you have to like lay down these turrets, and you have to break into things, and I was not really feeling it at that point, and I kind of left it there, but I intend to go back and talk about Rogue Trooper again, so that's going to be my choice for the violent game. Right, well, Ben, I hope you enjoy that, and again, my apologies that I may have sounded like I didn't like the Wii too much. Clearly I do, but it was also a source of disappointment a lot too, so sorry for that. Anyway, so I'm really glad to see these 5 gaming collections videos are back, so Ben, just keep them on coming, and until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.